Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Mad Capper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends and another in our series of I Built Them so you don't have to. Before we get into the video, let me remind you to watch my previous video. There will be a link at the end of this video, or you can just go to my channel, Mad Capper, and look for the top epic must builds for each faction. That video has a 540 gem giveaway. You just have to leave your code in the description along with the question that I asked somewhere in the video. I'll give you a hint, it has to do with skinwalkers. So check that out, leave the description with your code and you have a chance to win 540 gems. We will be taking that and we will be drawing our 5 winners on Friday during stream at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So please, if you have a moment on Friday, Good Friday, we will be streaming. Come visit me on Twitch or just check out the video and leave your comment in the description. Comment in the comment section. Can't leave it in the description. But this video is about Skimfos. So, without further ado, let's talk about the latest in the series, Skimfos. Curse Feeder attacks all enemies. Has a 75, bookable to 100% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. After attacking, transfers all debuffs except Stun, Freeze, Sleep, Fear, True Fear, Provoke, and Petrification from all allies to this champion. Clutch of Woe transfers all debuffs from this champion to a target enemy, then attacks the target. Steals 100% of the target's turn meter if the attack is critical. Growing Hunger attacks one enemy 2 times. The first hit has a 35, bookable to 45% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. The second hit has a 35% chance, bookable to 45% of decreasing the target's turn meter by 10%. Twisted Passive heals the champion by 5% of their max HP for each debuff on them at the start of each turn. If this champion is under 4 or more debuffs at the start of the turn, places a 50% increased attack buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. Alright, so there's Skimfos' kit, and we're going to have to delve into that a little bit more before we go into the testing phase of this, but here he is built in full perception gear. That is the deal, is you want him to be able to have good accuracy, and we also built him with some reasonable resistance, and still we're getting that 258% crit damage at 4582 attack, 233 speed. He is built kind of for the ability to use him in the Doom Tower, but we need to have a discussion about that because there is a tragic flaw in this champion, in his skill set. Here's his masteries. We should go over those as well. Let me move myself to the middle. And you can see I went for first hit Ruthless Ambush, and I went for War Master because he'll be in Doom Tower. Very helpful against bosses. And of course the ability to hit with less health because he is taking in poisons, taking in debuffs. He's probably not going to be full health. So it's the opportunity to attack with 50% or less is probably the more important. And then the ability to, an extra 5% to place any debuff from skills or artifacts. So you can see that's kind of how I built him with the, with his masteries. Now, why is this skill set a little bit strange? Well, at first look, it's actually a beautiful skill set. He's got a 30% attack in Doom Tower. So, Doom Tower is where we should use him. Perfectly fine. He has a passive that heals this champion for each debuff on them. That's going to come into play. If he has 4 or more debuffs at the start of the turn, he also places an increased attack and increased crit damage on himself. Why does that all play it? Well, he has this A3 that transfers all debuffs from this champion to a target enemy, then attacks the target, steals 100% of the target's turn meter if this attack is critical. Problem number 1, but we'll get into that in a second. Number 2 here, this is the one he actually leads with. His A2 attacks all enemies, has a 75 book to 100% chance of placing the decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. And after attack, he transfers all debuffs except for control from all allies to this champion. It's a really neat ability. So basically what he's doing is he's cleansing everyone to him, and then on his next turn, he's able to not only heal himself, depending on how many debuffs he has on him, which he's just taken from the rest of the team, and then on top of it, transfers all debuffs from this champion to a target enemy, and then attacks the target and steals turn meter if it's available. So what is wrong with this champion? Well, this is a Doom Tower champion, right? How many champions, how many bosses in the Doom Tower can you steal turn meter from that also have a lot of debuffs? The answer is 0. Now, there is a turn meter manipulating boss you can do, and that's the Fae. But this champion would not survive the Fae, because the Fae can hit very hard. So if the Fae does get a chance to hit, someone with this weak of defense and attack would probably die. But forgiving the turn meter piece, which is not 100% really usable, he does have a decreased attack, which is really nice. He is cleansing, and he is using it to his benefit. So let's see where it happens. Let's go in now. We're going to go to the Nether Spider. We're going to show you how it works, and then, of course, how it fails. And for those looking for the infographic on my most generally useful recommended build, here it is. Right here, he's a debuff hard counter Skimfos. There's the infographic. You can follow that. You can also download that from the pinned comment. So there he is. It comes. I'm working on this infographic for the epics that thankfully Aftershock and Chosen have given me. And this is not a build I used for either of the actual tests, because when I was doing full damage, the other one I was trying to use specifically for the Doom Tower. But this is kind of where I landed with a good set of perception gear, reasonable stats, hitting really hard, and to me it's just using perception set, lethal, savage, cruel, accuracy, anything to get that perfect combination of good accuracy to be able to use his skill set, as well as, of course, damage for him to do the damage you need him to do. So there it is, and let's move on. All right, here we are in the Nether Spider, floor 20. This is the first obvious level of the Nether Spider. And we're bringing in an all-epic team that we can bring in to kind of use. Now, I'm going to manual this just so I don't lose his AoE, which I just did there because it moved too quickly. Let's try it again. Oh, God. Okay. So we're going to try to save his AoE here. Just so we have it available for when we need it. That's why I brought a second AoE champion in. Going here, boom, and then of course we can clear these really simple. Second round will be a little bit more difficult, but not really. All right, we can kill you with one shot. We can kill you. Well, we can't kill you, but he'll definitely kill one of them, and then he'll definitely kill one of them, and they go after him. That's nice because he's the only. Get rid of her. So now we're on the boss. Why is this kit seemingly so good? Well, right here, right? Look at all the poisons that you're drafting into you, and then let's take turns. He's actually going to use this, and he can kill them. And look at all the poisons he's taken on himself. Then what we can do? Look at this one. Heals each ally by an extra 2.5% for each debuff on the target. You know, can heal 52. Now we've got her. She's going to do some damage. And then, of course, he's going to hopefully land that decreased defense. Perfect. Right? This is, so far, everything's going to plan. Ah, he's dead. There's the first problem. Now, everything worked well there. Everything worked as planned. However, one little problem. He's not survivable. He's an attack-based nuker. He does fantastic damage. But he can't survive that kind of hit against the only spider, the spider that you want to use him, the spider that puts all these poisons. So he takes all these poisons from all the other champions, he maxes out his bar, then this happens. But wait, we can try something a little different, right? Okay, fine. That doesn't work very well for us. Let's bring in someone a little bit different. By the way, Player, I love that you reset this. Recently used first. Let's bring in almost the same team. We're going to bring in someone else. We won't bring in Geo. Well, actually, we probably would bring in Geo. Let's take out Whisper. And we'll say, well, okay, you need survivability. That you meant to fail. So let's bring in Cleanser. Now, he can take on the poisons. Then she can cleanse it after the fact. Now, you could... I'm using Reliquary Tender, but you could use a single target cleanser if you wanted to. It just depends on what you're kind of trying to do. Like I said, we'll just get through this first part, and then we'll be able to rock and roll. Now, I'm already missing my big damage dealer for this, outside of my AoE. So we might take some hits here, which is fine. As long as they keep going. Oh, good, he gets second turn, so that's fine. Just went there. Okay, so now we're here. Now we have a cleanser. Maybe this will work. Ignore the fact that Reliquary Tender herself could just cleanse them, right? So we're going to start with this. Decrease attack, and then he's going to whip, and he takes them all again. We're going to put the burn. We're going to actually cleanse off him because we don't want him to die. Get that. We didn't get the decreased defense this time, but that's fine. He's got 4 on them. That's a nice heal. And there, now we're surviving a little bit more. Looks like it's pretty okay, right? He's got a poison on him. We can actually save that. He puts a slow on. That's nice. Right, this all looks pretty good so far. He's got 2 poisons. Why not? Chuck those poisons right back to him. Love it. He can just keep hitting. There we go. So you can play this around. Now you can see where this might be usable. But again, look how much health he's already down. It really concerns me that this is the guy that's supposed to be in here. Now, you could argue, well, why don't you build him way tankier? Well, the problem is, if you build him way tankier, then just use a different champion. It's not really needed. Now, we could probably go through this spider, but I want to show a different scenario. And the real problem with this champion isn't even this, because you're right. I could build him tanky and just forgo the fact that he's an attack-based champion. Forget the fact that he's got a 30% attack aura that you're supposed to use in the Doom Tower that's supposed to help this out. I probably could have beat this, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not that hard of a level when you've got this team involved. But now let's go up a little bit higher. Now we're on Doom Tower Hard, and this is floor 60. Let's use that exact same team and see what kind of results we get out of it. Let's go by recently used first. It's funny, they even reset the filter on the champion when you run it. Oh, we don't need super rays. Not that it matters. So we're gonna go in here, and this is the Nether Spider 12, and this is really the only place that this guy's useful, because the Frost Spider is freezes, and you can't take freeze. Control is one of the things he ignores when he tries to pull from other champions. So he's not even a full cleanse. Now keep in mind, we just have a full cleanse here. We could just use Reliquary Tender, a rare champion. But let's pretend we need to use him here. Hopefully that didn't... Hopefully we'll get extra turns here. Just take out the deadliest of them. The hope is he gets another turn here, which he should. There we go. Everything okay. So everything's on cooldown. Once again, we're gonna take all these poisons, and of course it's gonna work beautifully. Take all these. Look how little health he has already. Like, we're already in trouble. You know? Luckily he healed with all the poisons on there and put the crit rate, crit damage. But look at that. He can't kill. Even with 250, 4,500 attack, which is, for him, that's a decent speed for a mid-level player. It wasn't enough to kill the spider. So all it really did was add more poisons. 1, 2, 3, 4 counterattacks to the miss. And this isn't even the hardest level one. This is just a mid. So Skimfos' purpose here is kind of moot, because you want him to be able to take on those poisons. He can't with such a low health base. You want him to take in this stuff and then be able to do damage. And I never even got the opportunity, because if I tried, I would have died. I didn't even get the opportunity to transfer that full stack, which is what the premise is transfer that full stack back onto the boss. Now, what Doom Tower bosses can you do that with? Magma Dragon doesn't really help you anything whatsoever. You look at the Scarab, no. Nether Spider, we've seen it. He can't last past the very first tower. You look at the Frost Spider, doesn't really do anything. Fae, the turn meter would be nice, and he does, but there's fears. Does the fears really work? This guy could hit hard. Keep in mind that you're getting a doppelganger, so he could hit you hard, but maybe it would work well. At the end of the day, though, I just think there's better suited champions for every sort of thing he's in, which is unfortunate because the kit looks really cool. So I wanted to show you in this example why I don't think he's a very strong champion for build, in spite of the fact that he's got really strong damages. Now, that said, I do want to test his damages, so we're going to get him out of this gear. We're going to get him into full damage gear. We're going to see what he can do with his numbers to see if this is a champion. Maybe you want to build him just for faction wars because you need that damage dealer in a admittedly strong faction, but you never know. RNG is a bitch, and you might not have the champion. So let's head over to some damage testing next. All right, before we go to the damage testing, I want to show you the re-envisioned Skimfos the Consumed. He is now a damage dealer extraordinaire, I would think. 48, 28 attack, 196 speed, 266 crit damage. He still does have some accuracy, but it was not our primary focus at this point. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take this into a group of champions of similar kind of role, right? Now that he's no longer specifically this transfer of debuffs that didn't really seem to work where it needed to, can he at least do good damage? We've got Alika. As a reminder, Alika's sitting at 259 crit damage, 5616, also in Savage. Ignore that 99%. Hopefully it doesn't come into play. We did bring in Cupidus as a legendary with Venus. So this is kind of our control. He's at 5399, 297 crit damage. I do have him packed with a little more health because I do use him in Hydra. And a little bit more accuracy as well. And then, of course, we have Magnar, who's an HP champion, so it doesn't really, the stats really don't show, but 265 crit damage, doing a lot of damage in Savage as well. So, Cupidus, incidentally, not in Savage, so that is at least a starting point. So we're going to debuff them. We're going to see how this goes. And hopefully we're going to land all the debuffs. That's one of the biggest pet peeves I have. We did. Okay. So let's show this, which is attacks all enemies. And we'll put that damage up against this damage, up against that damage. Now they've all got HP burn, so I'll have to redo his. I forgot all about that. That's just silly. And then her damage there, and we'll go end battle and just see what the differences are on the AoE. So he did kind of not really show up. Magnar, who only hit once, keep in mind, this should have been double the damage, but because they had the HP burn on from Cupidus, he wasn't able to get his second hit in. And look at the difference. 362 Alika, 345 Magnar, Skimfos at 273. Just not really comparing. Now, he does have way less attack than Alika, because Alika does have this beautiful blessing, but at the same time, he's hitting about the same as Cupidus. Keeping in mind that Cupidus is AoE HP burn with that. So let's replay this again, and this time we'll do the single target hits. We'll try to all use the same champion. We have two of the Teas, so I'll go with that. Now here's his. He, of course, puts an increased attack on himself and hits for 120,000. His, now, of course, he's transferring to an enemy, 70,000, right? We'll do the damage over here, 88,000. And we'll do her obscene amounts of damage, 247. Again, you can see it's just not comparing, right? Alika was 247, she overshot. Skimfos 85, Magnar 88, very similar. Cupidus 132. It's actually kind of shocking. Cupidus I would expect to be a little bit more, especially with Venus on his team. But of course I don't have him tuned for full damage, so he's not in Savage, for example. That's a big deal on these hard stage 10s. Let's do this one more time, this time for the A1. And again, I mean, I don't want to use his A1 because it's an AoE, so it's not really even the same thing. But at least use his A1 here. And we'll attack Tea. There it is. Does put a decreased speed, so that is something to be considered, I would say. There's his 80. Alika, we'll go over there. 62. Keep in mind, she has a 50-50 chance of actually double hitting. So when you look at this, again, 54,000, 65,000, 80,000, 112,000. That was his A3. Even Venus hit harder. Well, I guess technically she did AoE. But the reality is Skimfos isn't there much for damage either. He can do damage, but the level of damage he's doing is much lower than the rest of these champions. And it just really doesn't make sense to build out a champion for that. So there's the damage testing. I took him into the tower. You know, I honestly think maybe the dragon dungeon might be where he is. So why don't we try to make it happen? One last time, we're going to go through the dragon. We're going to see if we can get this guy to... No, we're not. That's dumb. All right, so here we are. Damage testing shown. He's not doing a lot of damage. Why don't we go to final thoughts? We brought him into the Doom Tower, kind of showed you where he's quote-unquote supposed to be used, and then we showed you his damage. Now let's just talk about what my final thoughts are on this champion. Skimfos consumed... he should be better. I feel like I'm doing something wrong by not properly showcasing him. What I do know is, in the early mid game, I think he can be very helpful for you. Say you only have a single target cleanser, I think this guy can be used in conjunction for the Nether Spider on normal, Doom Tower hard, maybe that first level. After that, it's going to be too difficult to use him in the Doom Tower where he's supposed to be used against the Nether Spider. All the other bosses don't really put enough debuffs on you for it really to be worthwhile bringing this guy in. His whole purpose is to cleanse and return fire, and he can't really do that because he's an attack-based champion with 13,000 HP. That's not enough HP to survive what the Doom Tower bosses can do against you, especially the Nether Spider. And because his AoE is on that transfer, if he can't kill all the spiders in one shot, all it's going to do is replenish all those poisons, except for one on all your allies. So it's kind of a useless skill, and it shouldn't be. And when you look at this, it just really makes me wonder whether or not Plarium actually plays their game. Because on paper, this looks good. Someone could conceptually go, you know what, the Doom Tower has that Nether Spider, puts a ton of poisons. Wouldn't it be cool if you had a champion that could take all those poisons on and then throw them back at the boss? Man, that would be an amazing ability. Absolutely it would. Let's put it in here. But they never took the time, care, and attention to look at what that actually means. A champion who's attack-based, very skimpy, 13,000 HP, and has an AoE that does all that, where the one place you don't want to use AoEs, unless you can completely demolish the spiderlings, is, of course, the Nether Spider. Which means that this guy's one shining moment is useless. Could you imagine War Chief, who became relevant with the Magma Dragon? Could you imagine if the Magma Dragon had an ability that he ignored Provoke, or ignored 3-turn Provoke, or could cleanse Provoke every turn, so that the one champion that's like, yeah, I got this, hold my beer, couldn't even do it? Well, that's what it is with Skimfos here. I got this, hold my beer. Well, then he's dead on the ground. But at least his beer didn't spill, because the other guy's holding the beer while reviving him. Just not a good champion. Not enough attack to argue building this in. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have this champion, you're looking through normal Doom Tower, yeah, you'll get progression. Yes, he can do damage. If you need someone to do AoE damage, if you need that decreased attack on an AoE, that's a very strong skill. Individually speaking, his A1 and his A2, forget the transfer and just look at the fact that he's got a 100% chance on a 3-turn cooldown for an AoE decreased attack. He's got a decreased speed on his A1. The first hit has a chance of placing it at 45% chance. The second chance decreases turn meter, which can be very useful. And the fact that its AoE can steal 100% of the target's turn meter. Look at those skills individually and say, is this somewhere that I need? Then here's a champion that can suit. But as far as the whole kit and how Skimfos is as a champion himself, he's just not good enough. And I know what some of you are thinking, well, what about Doom Tower, or what about the hard level bosses? What about Dragon puts a ton of poisons out? Wouldn't this guy be good against that? This guy he would fall over just looking at the dragon. He would get killed so quickly. And Fire Knight, no, he doesn't have enough hits. He doesn't have enough health. He wouldn't survive. He's the same problem as Gory, except for you can't even steal turn meter from the Fire Knight. So again, all these abilities that look good on paper, and probably some designer patted himself on the back for this cool design, just ends up being kind of wasted. Those are my final thoughts on Skimfos. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Am I being too hard on him? I don't think I am. Now, I do want to mention how I think this champion would be way better served, and it's really simple. Make him a defense-based champion. Swap his attack and defense. Give him starting 1400 defense. Give him 16k HP. Then give him the exact same toolkit with the exact same multipliers. And this guy would be amazing. because now suddenly he can take those hits. Or alternatively, you want to keep him attack, make it so that that damage based, so poison, HP burn would only hit for a smaller percentage of the total damage that they normally do on this champion. Wouldn't that be cool? He takes on all the poisons from the Nether Spider and you can't kill him. But most importantly, this, unfortunately, this A2, I think in order to make it truly useful, I think it needs to be a single target attack with an AoE, kind of like Padma. If she hits critically, she puts a decreased attack on the entire team. I think that would be really strong in this particular case. So it attacks one person but applies a debuff to all people. I think that would be good. But as it stands now, for the Doom Tower Nether Spider, it's still broken. The kit's nice. Defense-based champion, this guy would be pretty good in a lot of areas. HP champion with 20k HP, he'd be even better in most areas of the game. But as it stands now, I would say keep this guy in this vault unless you have a very specific need for a very specific piece of his puzzle. That's all I have. So please, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching the video. I thank you very much. Most importantly, please like, subscribe, and of course, be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next video.